and gentlemen, coming to you live from the OC, it's the one and only Stat Boy Sports Bar. Here is your host, Stat Boy Mike.
Oh, the music stopped. Hello, my internet fans. Welcome to another edition, the Week 14 NFL edition of Stat Boy Rants with the new gear. Ooh, check it out. I'm finally official in my own sports bar.
Yeah.
I love it. Yay. It finally happened. Thank you, brother JJ, for the mark out moment with the Christmas trailer coming up. When does that show air again?
Show if you watch Talk Wrestling, jackass.
Ooh.
Just saying, Jay.
So, you could bring him in here, and we'll have our own little TLC match between the two of you.
I'm okay with that. All right.
My money's on him.
Definitely.
In a TLC match? Yeah, I think so.
Well, the trouble is,
anyway,
we both have bad backs and knees, so Colin Wilder's going to be a bitch. So
I'll ref. Yeah. That's what I used to do anyway. Anyway, so welcome to the Sports Bar. Of course, I'm your host with the most, the man of the hour, with all the power, too sweet to be sour. I am Stat Boy. How y'all doing? We've got about 2 more weeks, and then we get to celebrate Christmas. Isn't that great? Week and a half to go before Christmas. Get your shopping done quickly, folks. Use the internet if that's what it's there for. Plenty to talk about in the world of sports. Let's dive right into it. I'm actually going to touch on a little bit of college football. We'll do that after I talk about basketball, of course. There's the preseason recap, and of course the full review on Week 14. So let's get into and then we have the standings, of course, the power rankings, and of course my predictions for Week 15. And then, of course, at the end of the show, the good old Stat Boy shout out. So let's go into basketball first and what's been going on. Oh.
And because it's not on demand forever, clearly.
So let's talk about what's been happening in the world of preseason basketball. If you have been following on the Facebook page, I've been doing daily updates as to the top NBA players. Now remember how this works out. Whichever player scores the most points, they qualify to be ranked.
Yes.
And I made the decision that in any future games, they will get points added to their total, regardless of how well they do, and then a new player can come in and get added to the ranking system. That way, more than one player from one team can be added. Yes. So that's going to be a daily thing after every basketball day. Those updates will be updated accordingly. So far, the top 10, and I'll only do the top 10. I'm not going to do the whole listing. If I find some players that have mentions, I'll go ahead and mention them, but I'm not going to do the whole list because right now, after 4 days of play, and I haven't updated for today, day 5, we've got 45 players right now. I'm not going to go the entire 45. That's going to take way too long. So the top 10, a name you would know, Carmelo Anthony of Portland. He's at 28 points. Buddy Hield of the Kings is at 29. Langston Galloway of the Suns is at 31. Nikola Vucevic of the Magic is at 32. DeAndre Hunter at 33 from the Hawks. Kobe White of the Bulls at 35. John Morant of the Grizzlies at 37. R.J. Barrett of the Knicks at 40. Oh, I've been trying to practice this name. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I cannot say his name. Yeah. I tried practicing his name. I can't say it, so I'm just going to call him Giannis. In fact, a quick rant about him. He's Greek-Nigerian. So, yeah. His parents are Nigerian, but his heritage is Greek, so that's how he got the name Giannis, because Yanni is Greek for John. But his last name is impossible to pronounce. That's why the NBA commentators just say Giannis has the ball. He's in second place with 49 points. The top player so far, From our world champion LA Lakers, Talen Horton Tucker, he sits atop at 52 points. Some other names, John Wall, he's in there. He's at 21 points. He's ranked 27th. Paul George, who just signed an extension with the Clippers, he's at 19 points. He's ranked 31st. And the five players that we featured for the draft, they're getting their basketball shoes on. They're not really playing much. I think they'll start kicking up when the season starts. Now, news on LiAngelo Ball. Remember the Ball family, LaMelo, LiAngelo?
Goody. We're bringing the Ball family up again on Step
Yeah,
Sports.
bring the Ball family. LiAngelo signed with the Detroit Pistons.
Right.
11 days later, he's been waived.
Oh, jeez.
Now, what does that mean? It means that the team wants to get rid of him. Who knows for whatever reason? We don't know. JJ's asking, where's LeBron at? He's not playing in the preseason. We don't know why. Maybe they're saving him for the regular season. Or maybe LeBron thinks he's so good he doesn't have to play. We don't know yet. The Lakers do have 2 more games in the preseason to get him on the court and get him ready. So LiAngelo Ball is not going to probably play for Detroit anymore. He has to wait the 48-hour period, and then he can become an unrestricted free agent, and he can pretty much go wherever he wants or whatever team will take him. That's how waivers work. So who knows? What was the point of signing him anyway? I mean, if you're going to waive him after 11 days, that's a waste of a business transaction if you think about me. As far as the teams playing, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Raptors, and the Lakers, they're all 2-0 so far. They're scoring points a lot. And remember, the average of the scores will determine where the teams will go. And then next week will be the official re-ranking when the preseason ends. Then all games are legit for the regular season. So we'll be ranking them on a weekly like we do with the football. The teams that haven't won a game yet so far are the Wizards, the Hawks, the Spurs, the Suns, the Nuggets, the Bucks, the Heat, the Pacers, the Hornets, and the Clippers. Again, it's the preseason, so we really don't, you can't really count them, but they're just warm-up games is what they really are. They're just warm-up games. So if they start their season like this and they play like this, they are not going to get into the playoffs at all. We're not going to talk about the playoffs with not until maybe like week 10. And Jay is commenting on Facebook, I see, saying that he agrees that with COVID and everything, there it is all there. There wasn't much of a pro league. There was a training camp. Let the younger guys get to work in. Good call on that. So, again, not much on preseason. We've had 4 days worth. We're at the halfway point. And we'll see where all that goes. It's today being the 15th. It's only a 3-game basketball day. The Celtics take on the 76ers. The Spurs take on the Rockets. The Warriors take on the Kings. Those are just 3 simple games. It's going to be an easy day after that. There probably won't be much changes in the top 10, but we'll wait and see. You never know what's going to happen on that. Moving on, the big college football game took place over the weekend. The Trojans and the Bruins, the big rivalry, that's been a thing with me for a long time, SC and UCLA. I grew up an SC fan. When I first started watching college football, it was the big game, the granddaddy of them all, played in the Rose Bowl, and I was taught to root for USC because they represent.
Very careful, yeah. Mikey. Be very careful where you go.
I know. But this is a historical story. I have an end to this.
I'm just saying.
I know. But see, USC, the University of Southern California. I grew up in Long Beach, so it falls it geographically. So you root for SC. I didn't find out till maybe a couple of years later. UCLA represents Los Angeles. Where is Long Beach? In Los Angeles County. So now I'm torn between two, and my mom and I, we would have the tradition, we'd go to the grocery store, we'd have these nice sandwiches, we'd sit and watch the game, we'd root for SC because that's the way I was brought up. That's the way you have to do what your parents say when you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Yes.
Fast forward to high school, as many of you know, I went to Wilson, Long Beach Wilson. Their mascot is the Bruin. Their colors are cardinal and gold. Cardinal is a shade of red. What color does USC wear? Red and gold. Can you see the problem here? So it's like whenever football season comes around, I have to root for USC. But whenever basketball season comes around, I root for UCLA because UCLA has got a great basketball organization. Fast forward even further, when I got mixed into the family with JJ, his mom, his parents, they are SC fans. So I could not say the letters UCLA at all. You do not say those 4 letters around a USC fan. You will
Especially
get killed.
USC fans.
Exactly. You will get killed. You'll get your head chopped off and other body parts as well. Then little Natalie comes into the play. What was she wearing at 3 years old? A UCLA costume, which she has now bequeathed to her sister, and now she's wearing it.
Yes.
So what do I do? Do I just sit back and I'm like, okay, this is a good game? Yes. That way I'm right down the middle. USC won this year, and I'm just sitting back and I'm just enjoying the game. That's all I'm doing. I don't care which team is ranked better. I don't care which team is going to go on to the championship. I just wanted to see a football game, and that's how I sat down and I watched that game. But this season, USC won. It was a very good game. That's all that mattered. They scored a lot of points. Another big rivalry game took place, Army-Navy.
Yes.
Again, growing up, I had no idea that Army and Navy had football teams. I had no clue. I thought the Army and the Navy were just the ones that to protect us, military-wise. Of course, Army won that game 15-0. Navy didn't play, I guess. I don't know, whatever. And of course, the president showed up, and so he probably jinxed the game. I think. He came out and he flipped the coin, and yes, as JJ says in the comments, a house divided. Well said on that. And Jeff is sending a text. So, college football is happening on. A lot of games are getting canceled because of COVID. There wasn't a report that the Rose Bowl might not be a venue or a participant in the newly established, or I don't know how new of an establishment it is, that they're actually going to have a small tournament with 4 teams for the college championship. Of course, bowl games are abound on New Year's. That was a tradition too. I mean, we at the Casa days, me and Pop and Jay, we would, pick our teams for every possible bowl game you could think of. And that was a fun thing. I think Pop and Jay won a couple times. Oh, that's a good one, Jay. That's a good comment. You might want to put that one up. There it is. Yep.
This is producer Jeff saying nothing at all.
I do have a Ducks jersey and I do have a Kings jersey, and I wear them both.
Dude, I can't speak on it, and I'll tell you why. The people that know, but when Mikey knows, especially because he was there with me when I did it. When we went into the playoffs, the big run that we won the Stanley Cup for the very first time, Lisa, our dear friend Lisa, is a Vancouver Canucks fan because she lives in Toronto, and even she knows the Leafs suck. So she's a Vancouver fan by design. So she made that bet with me about the loser has to wear the winner's colors the next time they play at their respective arena, right?
Yep.
So she buys me this Canucks jersey. It sat here for the longest time. It's at the other house now, waiting for hockey season to start because that ain't gonna happen before we move. So it was sitting here for the longest time, collecting dust because I'm wearing a Canucks jersey, and we won the series anyway, so I didn't have to. Ha! So, but then Vancouver came in to play the Ducks. It's like, ooh, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I get the whole having a jersey you can't really wear outside because it doesn't work. But yeah, I need to step off for just 1 second. Go ahead and if you're gonna do the rankings, just hold off. But otherwise, I'll be back. I gotta go help my mom with some stuff out of the house. So
Don't worry. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. All right. So now it's just me. Great. All right. So let's start talking football. That's the meat and the potatoes of this of the sports bar. Every week we talk about football. Week 14 comes up, and the first game up is the Patriots and the Rams. Rams end up winning 24-3. Cam Newton went 9 of 16 for 119 yards, got benched in the fourth quarter, I believe. Jarrett Stidham came in 5 of 7 for 27 yards. Jared Goff went 16 of 25 for 137 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Last time the Patriots have lost, they've lost now 7 games in a row. Last time they did that was 2002. And the Rams are still undefeated after leading a game at halftime since 2017. So they have a pretty good streak going on. I believe they're 32-0 when that comes up. And because of that one, let me do a quick look over here. I believe the Rams are atop the standings. Yes, they are. That puts them 9-4. We will be talking about the standings in that upcoming. So Rams win 24-3. Next matchup was the Broncos and the Panthers. Drew Lock went 21 of 27 for 280 yards, 4 big touchdowns, no interceptions. Teddy Bridgewater went 30 of 40, 283 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The Broncos end up winning against Carolina 32-27. Teddy Bridgewater has now lost 7 straight games. Now, how is that possible? Well, when the Panthers played against the Lions, Teddy Bridgewater was not the quarterback. It was P.J. Walker that day. I think that was week 12. And P.J. Walker ended up winning that matchup. But the previous matches before, Carolina lost, therefore Teddy Bridgewater lost. You skip that game, and then you go on to the next ones, and he's lost 7 straight. So he himself is on a 7-game losing streak, even though the Panthers did win that game against the Lions 2 weeks ago. Carolina is, I believe they are a team, and again, I'll touch on this. They are not yet eliminated, but another team is with the same record, so that must have something to do with tiebreakers. But when I get to the rankings, I'll explain a little bit more further. Next matchup, the Texans and the Bears. Bears end up winning 36-7. Deshaun Watson went 21 of 30 for 219 yards, 1 touchdown. Mitchell Trubisky 24 of 33 for 267 yards, 3 big touchdowns. And because of this loss, Houston is out. We'll confirm that and make it final during the rankings. But and they are done. So it's a spoiler alert. Don't have to worry about Houston anymore. The next big matchup, Jeff asked for it, and he got it. He wanted a win in Dallas, and it happened, but they were playing Cincinnati. Dallas ends up beating Cincinnati 30-7. Andy Dalton went 16 of 23 for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Allen went 27 of 36 for 217 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. The Cowboys' playoffs hope are still alive. They are not done. We'll talk more about that in the standings. The Bengals dropped the ball. They fumbled it on their first 3 possessions, which of course leads to the Cowboys getting the ball and scoring 30 points. So Jeff should be happy that the Cowboys won a matchup and they're still in play. Next matchup, the Packers took on the Lions and ended up beating them 31-21. Aaron Rodgers went 26 of 33 for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford went 24 of 34 for 244 yards, 1 touchdown. Matthew Stafford took a nasty hit in the fourth quarter. He's out with a rib injury. Depending on what Detroit does in the next 3 weeks, they're not out yet, but when I go into the rankings, they are on the bubble. They are facing elimination. They could be done. We don't want that, really, not in this house anyway. But if he's out with a rib injury, as you'll remember, Drew Brees had his rib injury. I think he's coming back in this week. I'm not certain on that yet, but it has been 3 weeks. So depending on the severity of the injury for Matt Stafford And depending on how well the Lions play, and if the Lions do get into the playoffs, he could be ready for the playoffs. But we have to wait and see. We really don't know. Because of that, Green Bay clinched their second straight title. It's their 20th overall. They are, again, it'll be confirmed in the rankings and the standings. They are the champions in the what is that going to be? The NFC North. So we'll make that official, just a little bit or so. All right, up next, the Titans took on the Jaguars, and the Titans ended up winning 31-10. Let's face it, the Jaguars are they've been out for a couple weeks now, so betting against them was almost a formality. Ryan Tannehill went 19 of 24 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Glennon, the backup quarterback, he got benched after his performance. Gardner Minshew came back in. 13 of 23 for 85 yards. Gardner went 18 of 31 for 178 yards, and he got the touchdown in that. Minshew came in after a pick by Glennon, but so we'll see what happens with that. The Kansas City Chiefs took on the Miami Dolphins, beat them 33-27. Patrick Mahomes, 24 of 34 for 393 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he got picked off 3 times. And Tua Tagovailoa, 28 of 48 for 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Due to the win, the Chiefs clinched their division title, their 5th straight and their 10th straight game win on the road, which is the longest in team history. Again, we'll make that official during the standings and or the rankings. Congratulations to the Chiefs. The Cardinals took on the Giants. Kyler Murray went the Cardinals ended up winning 26-7. Kyler Murray went 24 of 35 for 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Daniel Jones went 11 of 21 for 127 yards, no touchdowns. With that win, and with what happened in the next game, which I will be talking about, Arizona takes over the final spot in the playoffs. Reason being, Minnesota took on Tampa Bay and lost 26-14. Kirk Cousins went 24 to 37, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Tom Brady, the ageless wonder, 15 to 23 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Basically, in the Minnesota game, Kirk Cousins got sacked 6 times, which led to Tampa Bay getting the ball. A couple fumbles came out. So when you get sacked 6 times in one game, things are going to happen. So with that loss and with Arizona winning, they swapped. Now, this doesn't mean this isn't the end for Minnesota. They can still get back in because they are the next team. They are the 8th ranked team. Remember, it's only the top 7 to get in. So they still have a chance. And I've got scenarios and everything for that. But as of right now, Arizona is in, Minnesota is out, but there's still 3 weeks. So we need to see what's going on with all of that. Let's see what's going on in the chats, if anything. Do we have the chats up? Is anybody in the chat room? Let's take a look. I do apologize for the... let's see here. Let's look up here. Michael asks, what would you say are the top 5 sports cities in America? Okay, I can do a quick rant on that and kill a little bit of time. Definitely Los Angeles. You know, the Kings, the Rams, the Chargers, the Dodgers, the Angels. So Los Angeles, we won.
I'm back, but I'm still not ready for camera yet.
Okay, not a problem. Definitely New York. That would be the rivalry. You know, the Knicks, the Yankees, the Giants, all those teams there. Then I'm going to go with Chicago. The Bulls, the Blackhawks, the White Sox, the Cubs. Let's see.
By the way, all 3 of those cities so far are major WWE towns, so that's important to this channel. Let's keep that in mind also.
That's true.
Those 3 cities are awesome cities for wrestling. Wrestling, period, but WWE in particular, but yeah.
There you go. So then, let's see. Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. Then I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I think I might almost want to make it a tie between Philadelphia and I would say I know it's not a city, but I would say maybe Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania would because they've got
Both of
everybody.
their major sports cities have a lot of great sports in them, so I would say that's a fair lumping.
So I guess I would go four would be Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and then fifth I would probably go. Hmm, I want to go Detroit fifth. I really want to go.
Yeah, the thing with Detroit is they've had tremendous hockey in the past. Their basketball team has never been really a powerhouse, nor have really any of the other teams. Like, I mean, I know you have a personal bias because your roommate lives or was from Detroit, so I get that. But like, and this is not a dig on anybody that is a Detroit fan because I love me some Detroit teams. Okay, I do, but I don't see them as a sports powerhouse outside of Hockey Town.
Mm.
So, personally, I mean, you said Philly and Pittsburgh, which is kind of like a tie because they're both so great.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know who really doesn't get a whole lot of press sports wise, in my opinion, is St. Louis, like JJ said here at the bottom.
Yeah.
You've got, and again,
yeah.
for the record, I hate the St. Louis Cardinals. I hate them so much because I'm a Cincinnati Reds boy. So, yuck. But the Cardinals, the Rams when they were there, the Blues recently won the Stanley Cup for the first time. That's tremendous for that city. They've always had consistently contending teams throughout sports. So I think St. Louis is a good choice, Jay. And like you said Detroit also. I don't mind saying Detroit, but you can't leave them there by themselves. They have to be with somebody else. I think St. Louis is a good pick to have that shared spot with Detroit because they're both strong. They're not dominant like Philly, Pittsburgh, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. So there you
go. What would you say about Dallas? The Mavericks, the Mavericks, the Cowboys, and the
right. I mean, the Mavericks kind of have been what they've been. They've not been, a dominant force. The Cowboys have not won a championship in 30 years. I mean, I'm just going to sit there. It is what it. No, excuse me, 25. It is what it is, baby. But when you think of Dallas, you think of the Cowboys before you think of anything else. If you're not living in Texas and you hear the word Dallas, you either think of Larry Hagman in that big hat or you think of the Dallas Cowboys. Really. So they're definitely up there. But again, the Mavericks, I honestly forget the time half time the Mavericks exist. Like really.
Yeah.
The Stars aren't.
I was going to ask about the Stars.
The Stars aren't as strong as I think they hoped they would be. They were good when they first moved from Minnesota, but they're not the dominant force that my grandmother grew to hate so much toward the end of her life because they kept whooping the King's ass. They're not that team anymore. And then I think the Texas Rangers are based in the Dallas area, Arlington. Oh. So yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
So they've been kind of hit or miss too. I mean, they have great years, they have bad years. So, if there's anything you can count on in baseball, the one team that will be bad every single year consistently in the American League is the Angels. God bless my Angels. It's Mike Trout and everybody else, and that's why.
Yeah,
they are
really.
the Kobe Bryant Lakers of 2020 in baseball. Oh, fuck's sake.
And what about Florida teams? Even though it's not a city, but Florida as a whole.
The thing is, there's so much sports in Florida. So I guess, if you want to kind of lump it as one thing, right. Florida's got the wide world of sports. They're at Disney. They've got all kinds of shit going on down there all the time. They've got, the Marlins and the Bucks and the Rays and everybody's down there. And it's a great sports hub, which is why they had all this shit going on down there during this pandemic. Cause there's so much sports out there. It was easy to convert everything into everything. Right. Okay. I'm going to put this up. If you are a Dodgers fan, a Dodgers diehard, please do not shoot myself or the person commenting this because we all love you anyway. JJ says, put it this way: when you think of Texas sports, you think of the Cowboys and the Astros. You almost forget about the Mavericks and the Stars. I do agree with that. Unfortunately, you think of the Astros now in a negative connotation because of the way they did the Dodgers 3 years ago. Honestly, prior to 3 years ago, I didn't have a problem with the Astros. They housed Nolan Ryan for all those years. They were a great little franchise, and I didn't mind them. But yeah, they really sucked doing what they did to us, and I it's going to be a long time before they get off the number 2 spot on my all-time sports shit list at this point. I mean, really. So, well, okay, no, number 2.
Number two. Yeah, we know Ducks first, then Astros.
Because you know what? Like all the other NHL teams have been on that list for so long. It's like, but yeah, Houston did us worse than those NHL teams ever did the Kings. So
good question, Michael. Thank you so much for the question.
Yes, and thank you, JJ, for all the input. I really appreciate that, brother.
So going back a little bit, I did. You got your wish. Dallas beat Cincinnati, so you got that down.
Again, that in this house, that's a hard one because we love both teams so much because our family was based in Cincy, and yeah, so that's a kind of a we're happy. Like we are very much the tragedy comedy face during that game, very much so. So.
But the thing is, they won. That's what you wanted. That's what you got.
Like Dallas needs wins. They have to keep winning because if any other team wins that shithead of a division, I will cry until after the Super Bowl. It would be terrible.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in just a few seconds or so.
Yes, no,
okay. Yes. Any other questions in the that I missed?
Michael says Indiana's underrated sports hub. I would counter that with Illinois, honestly, because I mean Chicago is great, and you've got other things there, but Indiana's like right there because you do have the Colts, you do have the Pacers they're always, in the hunt. But like I really like outside of basketball and football, I mean basketball and
yeah, you're right. Basketball and football.
There's not really they don't have a baseball team in Indiana, do they?
No.
You don't know about it
unless it's a college team,
right? Exactly, and then it's they again Indiana underrated. I would say that because I don't really think of any teams in Indiana when I think of sports.
You can't think of teams, but they do have the 500.
You know what? Wow, I am a terrible race fan. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean that's what Indianapolis is all about. Minus the Colts and the Pacers,
right? And honestly, going back to Florida, Daytona, man. Daytona is the start of the season every year, man. They start down there, and it's Daytona's the place, man. So yeah, I would say that pick your spot in Florida, and you're good to go. Sports,
pretty much, yeah.
So they're like 5A. I really,
yeah. And speaking of Indianapolis,
another hat. This is hurting my head with this stupid Santa hat. So, yeah.
Okay. The Colts beat the Raiders 44-27. Phillip Rivers went 19-28 for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr 31-45 for 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Derek Carr has an interception streak going the past 4 games, 1 or more interception. That's the longest he's done. That needs to stop, Derek. If you want your team to get some wins here, stop throwing interceptions.
Seriously, right?
Seahawks took on the Jets. No joke there. Seattle crushed the Jets 40-3. Russell Wilson went 21 of 27, 206 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it was funny. We were keeping track of that game on the ticker because we don't get that game in the afternoon because we had whatever game was on for LA, and it was 37-3 for the longest time, and I'm like, oh god, it can't get any worse. And then Dad goes, oh wait, it did. I'm like, fucking Jets.
It did. Sam Darnold, 14-26 for 132 yards. This is the longest losing streak in Jets franchise history. However, they have scored on their opening drive in the last 7 games. So they can score, they just can't win. Should Mike really be left unsupervised? No. Because I just keep going and stop. I need somebody to work off of. That's why I sit in the corner and kind of keep to myself until I see him. I got to rein him in. Oh, actually, wait. Get the hook, rein him in. There you go. So yeah. Oh, by the way, let me just take over your show for a second because my network. I'm giving shit.
Thank you, 1 Hour Tees, ProWrestlingTees.com, for the awesome Chris Jericho 30th anniversary shirt. That's right. And like Judas has so become my theme song for so many reasons this year. So like I love that I have a Chris Jericho shirt now. Anyway, go ahead.
It's a good shirt. You just need a bottle of bubbly to go with it.
Working on it.
Good. And send me a bottle too, and I'll drink it on the show just to.
Well, you have to buy 2 of them to get it, so it's not a wrong possibility.
If you want to mail it down here, and you and I'll toast the new year and do a taste testing on champagne. I don't know.
Probably won't get here by the 31st, but we'll see.
We'll see. Russell Wilson also has a streak going where he's been sacked in 26 straight games. That's the longest NFL active streak at that. So he's kind of going into the Carson Wentz playbook where you turn around and he gets sacked. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Atlanta took on the Falcons. Took bubbly in one hand, list in the other. There you go. Falcons took on the Chargers, and the Chargers ended up winning a game, 20-17. Matt Ryan went 21 of 32 for 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Justin Herbert, 36 of 44, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Towards the end of the game, they were both tied at 17. They traded interceptions. The Chargers came out up on top. Unfortunately, the Chargers have already been eliminated, so they're playing for pride at this point.
You know you're a sad sack when you get eliminated by a team that's already been eliminated. That's just sad.
Ain't that the truth? Washington football team took on the San Francisco 49ers and ended up defeating them 23-15. Alex Smith went 8 of 19 for 57 yards. He got another leg injury. I'm not sure if it was stemming from when he got impaled by the cleats, or maybe it's a strain on his ankle, but he had to be taken out. Dwayne Haskins had to come in backup, 7 of 12 for 51 yards. Nick Mullins went 25 of 45 for 260 yards. It was a strained calf, on that, so they took him out in the first half. And the Washington football team is the only team in the league not to score on their opening drive in every game this season. So as long as you can get past that opening drive and not have them score, you might have a chance. But San Francisco didn't do anything this game to do so.
You suck, 49ers. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I know you wanted.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
Stop the momentum, and we'll get to that in just a second.
Indeed.
The Saints took on the Eagles. And the Eagles ended up winning 24-21. Taysom Hill, 28 of 38 for 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, finally made a start this late in the season. Apparently it worked because Philadelphia ended up winning. He went 17 of 30 for 167 yards and 1 touchdown. Why did they take so... Now, I'm not trying to knock Dallas and the NFC East, but why do you wait 14 weeks when your quarterback is getting sacked and fumbling left and right to finally let the backup guy come in? This should have been done week 6, 7, and 8, not all the way in week 14. The entire division is still active. They all still have a chance. If you want that playoff spot so bad, make the decisions early. Don't wait this late in the season. If it works, it's a miracle. If it doesn't, I mean, come on. I was sitting on my couch like, why are you just put him? You should have done this 3 weeks ago.
It goes back to what we've talked about for so many years on the various channels, Mike. Big contracts equal play time, not skill. It's as simple as that.
It's all about the money.
Yeah, it is. Damn, Jay. Can we not kick our team while they're not even playing? Fuck. I'm going to put it up there, but
yeah, put it up there.
Grief. Damn, Jay.
So didn't the Kings do the same thing? They took out Quick and they put in the other guy?
Well, yeah, but it took him that long, again, like I said, because of contract, and it is what it is. But he's not wrong. But it's like, man, we aren't playing yet. God damn, easy there, killer. And I agree with Michael. The Saints need Breeze back like now. That goes without saying.
Yeah, well, it's been 3 weeks, so I haven't seen any reports yet if he's well enough to play. But we'll see what happens with that. The Steelers, what's going on, Steeler Nation? Steelers lose to the Bills 26-15. Now, before the game even played, they were granted their playoff spot, which we'll put in there. But they have not clinched the division yet. What's going on? Ben Roethlisberger, 21 of 37, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Josh Allen, 24 of 43, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. What's going on? They are now 11-2, I believe the record is. Steeler Nation, what's going on here? Dominant team for 11 straight weeks, or 12 straight weeks actually. We get to what's going on, guys? I mean, come on, you're supposed to be crushing the competition. You had the chance. You ran into Washington. Look what happens. You run into uh, where am I? You run into Buffalo, and they treated you like a high school team.
Well, at least Buffalo's a good team.
Well, yeah, they're number one in their division right now.
I'm saying at least losing to Buffalo is not like losing to Washington. I mean, so
good point. And finally, the last game of the week took place last night. The Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns putting up a total of 85 points. Could be contender for game of the year. Ravens end up winning 47-42. Lamar Jackson, 11 of 17 for 163 yards, 1 touchdown. Baker Mayfield, 28 of 47, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wild finish. Lamar Jackson had to run to the back for what he claimed he was cramping up, which could have been a muscle cramp or, heaven forbid, maybe he did have to use the restroom. We don't know. He said in the post game interview that he was cramping up. It was cold and he needed an IV. He comes running out. He wasn't really throwing that many passes, but he did what he needed to do. He got this team in the field goal range. They go up 45-42. Cleveland tries to do the lateral play, ends up going all the way to the end zone. Ravens score a safety and end up winning the game. That's what's happened in Week 14.
It's 2020 when that's not the wackiest finish of the year.
Not at all. Do I have
the Falcons against the Cowboys? That was batshit.
What's batshit?
Like hell, man. Oh, I will never get over that as long as I live. That'll always be like if I ever go back into coaching, I'm like, okay, day one, boys, don't do this.
Don't do that. So that's what happened in Week 14. Let me quickly talk about something in baseball before I do the standings for football. It's finally been made official, I believe, or it's a pending report. The Indians are no longer going to be the Indians. They are dropping their team. Well, that's a good slice of pizza, dude. Look at that. Where's that from? Is that delivery or DiGiorno?
Take a make.
Oh, good one. So Cleveland is finally going to adhere to all the people that have been saying that we don't want to be related to a team called the Indians, so we have no idea what they're going to call themselves. They've got at least 4 months to figure this out before spring training starts. Don't be surprised if the Atlanta Braves follow suit. Don't be surprised if the Florida State Seminoles, I think it's stupid. Of course, we know what Washington did at the beginning of their season. They don't want to be called the Redskins anymore. So is Cleveland going to be known as the Cleveland baseball team? They got rid of their mask, the logo on their sleeve in 2018. So, is this not a PC world? I mean, the graphics not up, but it's the eye roll there. JJ's doing the eye roll there. That Cleveland is giving up the name Indians. I think it's a stupid idea because I was doing this earlier. Dory and I went out to get lunch today, and we're like, let's look at every possible team and find something wrong with every single one of them. You could say that the Vikings are a bad team because what did the Vikings do? They raided, they pillaged, they burned things to the ground. A Viking is a bad symbol. Well, the same thing with the Raiders. A Raider and a Viking is the same thing. Any team that has an animal, all the animal groups could be like, well, I don't want to be represented by a team with an animal, so that would eliminate, the Lions, the Ravens, the Bears, the Seahawks, all the Cleveland Rocks. Yeah, right. The Cleveland. That could offend all the geological people in the world. I mean, I'm surprised all the religious groups have a problem with. Yeah, exactly. 100 years now, it's a problem. All the people could say that they don't like the angels. All the religious groups, the angels, the saints, all those things, the pirate. There you go, the pirates. I want to be the, I mean, they are logos, they are names, they are a team. That is what, you know. I stop getting all pissed off over things, folks. They are not that serious. They're not hurting you. Okay? Yes, this is a rant right now. You might want to put the rant ticker up. I mean, because this is we. I get that things happen for a reason. I don't know what the reasons are, but things happen. Okay, of all the exactly as Jay is saying with the pirates, he went Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, if you don't like it, don't watch it. All right. If you're offended by the Cleveland Indians, if you're offended by the Washington Redskins, if you're offended by the Florida State Seminoles, and any other possible racist team name or whatever reason you don't like it, don't watch it. Okay? Let the people that enjoy what they want to appreciate, let them do it. Now, I get you all have a freedom of speech. I get that. But and like I say, you have the right to express yourselves. But when you're going to these levels, it's wrong because you are then offending people by your opinions. I mean, I can say something and I could upset somebody, okay? And if I offend you for it, I'm sorry. That's just and that should squash everything, okay? I'm not going to go around and I'm going to say I hate a team because of their mascot. I don't hate the Lions because the Lions is an animal. Okay? I don't follow the Lions very much. I should because I have this show. I should be doing a lot more homework on my stats. Okay? But I am not going to go and disrespect a team that is not performing well. I'm going to say they're not performing well if they're not performing well. I'm not just going to go around saying, oh my God, the Lions are the worst team in the world. Because one, that'll piss off a lot of people. Two, it's the wrong thing to say. If you say it without any reasoning, you're just asking for trouble. If you're saying a team is not good because of their performance, you're telling the truth. Look at the Jets. The Jets are the worst team in the league. They are 0-13. They have not won a game this season. So me saying the words, the Jets are the worst team because of their record is factual. I am not saying that because the Jets absolutely suck. If they do, then that's my opinion, But I'm not going to go around and say, oh, they just suck. I have to have a reason behind it. And that reason is they suck because they're not playing good. They haven't won a game. It's all factual. But to go around and say, oh, this and that, and I don't like the Jets. They're not even a New York team. They play in New Jersey. Okay, that's another factor, but that can be considered hurtful. You see? So, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't pay attention to it. Don't worry about it. You have an off button on your television. Use it. You have a channel button. Is he trying to piss me off or is he just going for jokes? What is he doing? I don't know. Yeah, Jets are offensive because they're loud. How about that? Okay, Jets are loud. Go ahead.
I have a question or two. Why are you offended by a version of a flying vehicle, but you rather prefer something in the water? I don't understand that analogy.
Joke. I don't
Number
know.
one.
I think he's
Number two. I know. I'm just fucking with him right back because I bet whatever. Number two, the problem with sports teams' names is this. It's very simple. Sports teams' names were assigned based on strength. The lion is a strong animal. The tiger is a strong animal. The duck is a batshit crazy animal. They're cuckoo. They are. They're nuts. I mean literally. They're, the only thing worse is if they're called the Anaheim geese. Then I'd be like, run for your life. Seriously. Dude, poultry is crazy. Like, seriously. So, okay. The kings, you're royalty, you're regal, you're powerful, right? The sharks, freaking worst predator in the ocean. Pirates, Pirates. The problem is Pirates were so, what's that word I'm looking for? Romanticized for so many years. And all of a sudden it's like, they were kind of assholes. Like we shouldn't have been doing that for the last, 1,000 years or whatever of human history. I'll fucking die, idiot. But yeah, they were assigned a strength, but now it's like every single team name or every single math or whatever offends somebody. And the unfortunate thing is the society we are now living in and have lived in for the better part of the last couple of decades or so has gotten so anal compulsive about being offended by one little thing that all it takes is one person to spark that match, and then you get a movement, and then the Indians can't be the Indians anymore. I understand the Redskins not want to be the Redskins. The Redskin term, for the most part, has been very offensive to those people, their entire existence. I'm not going to deny that problem. Even calling them Indians is not a correct term. Just because some, as the great John Bradshaw Leffield said during his induction of the Briscoes, Christopher Columbus was some idiot that went the wrong way and landed in the wrong spot and called them Indians, and now he's put on a pedestal. He's an idiot that just got lost. Okay, that's simple as that. They weren't Indians; they were Native Americans. They were here before we were. So yeah, so because Chris Columbus is an idiot, we have the American Indians.
Right.
I agree with that being removed. I also agree with not being put in the first place. There's that. There is also the Kung Pao Buckaroo. Yeah, I mean, play that song on loop if you want to hear about offensive terms ruining things. So there's that. But the Atlanta Braves, I mean, you're brave, you're strong, you're powerful. Why is that a problem?
Because the tomahawk chop.
Okay, I need you to not do that anymore. Thank you. Just gives me the nightmares all over again.
A tomahawk is a dangerous weapon. A tomahawk can chop your head off. That's why it's so bad and offensive.
Okay, well, anything like that can do anything like that. So it's like, where do you draw the line? Like, that's the thing. It's it's very much like it's pretty much like the Kung Pao Buckaroo holiday at the end of the song. So basically, we can't sing anything. That's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, it is.
Exactly. You can't say anything without offending somebody.
Yeah, and my whole thing is this: if you are so offended by something so minute and so simple, and something that should not remotely drive you to the point where you need to go, stand on a soapbox and bitch about it, you need to lock your front door, destroy your television, and put bubble wrap all over your house and just call it a life.
There it is.
And like that's why
people are entitled to you're entitled to your opinion,
even if it's
you go out there, But when you go out there and you explode it and get the masses involved, that's where you're crossing the line, I think.
Right. That is the opinion of Mike Caldwell, and it should be yours. Very good. All right. So there you go.
So let's get into the standings, like we said. So we'll start with the AFC West. Now, this is just the standings. This isn't the power rankings yet. So as far as the standings go, the Chiefs have already clinched the division. They are 12-1. They're right now, they are the number one spot in the AFC. So that means they will advance into the second round if the playoffs started today. The Raiders and the Broncos are still in play. The Broncos are facing elimination. If they lose in their Week 15 matchup, they could more than likely be eliminated. They are playing the Bills in Week 15. So if Denver if Buffalo beats Denver, more than likely the red elimination comes up. The Chargers, they're already done. They're 4-9, so we don't need to worry about them. In the AFC North, the Steelers are in the playoffs. They are playoff bound. They are 11-2, but they have not yet clinched the division yet. If they beat, they are playing Pittsburgh. They are playing Cincinnati on Monday night. If they beat them and Cleveland loses their matchup, then they get the division title. Well, the Ravens are still in play. They are 8-5. They do not have the playoff spot yet, even though they are tied with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have the tiebreaker. Otherwise, the Ravens would be in the playoff hunt. Of course, the Bengals, they've been out for 2 weeks now. They're only 2-10-1. You don't need to worry about them. In the AFC South, the Titans and the Colts are tied at 9-4. Right now, the Titans have the tiebreaker. The Colts have the wild card spot. The Texans and the Jaguars, they are done. So we're just going to see where the AFC South goes at that. It's going to come down to the best of three between these two teams. So whatever happens with these two guys, Tennessee is playing Detroit, and Indianapolis is playing Houston. So if both teams win all three games, Tennessee will win the division. Indianapolis more than likely will be the wild card. Any other combinations? If Tennessee wins 2 and Indianapolis wins 1, they'll get the division title. So those next 3 games are going to be crucial in the AFC South. In the AFC East, the Bills lead the division. They have not clinched a division or a playoff spot yet, but Buffalo is playing. Good response. Put that comment up there, Jeff, please.
I was looking at something. Sorry.
They are coasting. Why go balls to the wall and risk injury when you can coast until it's playoff time? Good point. Let me go back on that. Pittsburgh is 11-2. The best they can finish is 14-2. The worst they can finish is 11-5. They're playing the Bengals, the Colts, and the Browns the next 3 games.
Right.
With an 11-5 record, they possibly still can get in.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So they've locked in their playoff. Do they want the division title? I would.
I don't even care at this point, honestly. I really don't.
I mean, if you've dominated the first 11 weeks, which they did, then why not go for the title? Right. I mean, if you just want to sit back, that could tarnish the legacy. Good point, Jay. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, you can have the playoff spot. This is like having a title shot, and you're like, no, I'm just going to wait for it, or holding on to the Money in the Bank briefcase. Good point on that one. Going back to the AFC East, the Bills have not clinched anything yet. The Dolphins are 8-5. The Patriots are 6-7. I think a loss by the Patriots, they might get eliminated. They are playing Miami, though. Miami, that's a toss-up. If New England beats Miami, and then they can go up against Buffalo, that might be a problem. And then they'll cruise on through, and New England finishes the season against the Jets. Which, if you lose against the Jets in Week 17, that's going to be a shocker in that. Let's face it, the Jets are still going for the number 1 draft in the 2021 season.
Right, exactly.
In the NFC West, the Rams and the Seahawks are tied at 9-4. Neither team has clinched anything. But if the playoffs were to start today, they would both be in, with the Rams being the number 3 team, the Seahawks being the number 5 team. The Cardinals, they have the number 7 spot because of their win. The 49ers, they're on the bubble. If they lose to Buffalo, they're out. Another team gone. The big division in this house, of course, is the NFC North. The Packers, they've clinched the division. They're in. They're 10-3. The Vikings and the Bears are 6-7, and the Lions are 5-8. The Lions are playing Tennessee this week. A loss will eliminate them. The Vikings, they play against the Bears, the Saints, and the Lions. And we discussed this earlier today. If the Vikings beat the Bears, crosstown rivals again, because let's face it, the whole division is one big rivalry.
Right.
The scenario is this. For the Vikings to get back in this week, they need to beat the Bears, and the Cardinals need to lose to the Eagles. Will the Cardinals lose to the Eagles? Doubtful.
Yeah.
I as much as I want to see that happen, the odds of that, I mean, we're talking less than 25% odds. They brought in Jalen Hurts. I get it, but they got it's Murray versus Hurts. So I don't know. So let's look at the scenario. If Arizona wins, that'll put them at 8-6. If Minnesota wins, that'll put them 7-7. They'll still be in the hunt. They'll still be right next to each other. Then we'll have to go into the next game. Minnesota plays the Saints. We don't know what the Saints are going to be doing. If Breeze comes back, that's going to be a problem for Minnesota. If Taysom Hill stays in, the Vikings might have a chance to win that one. Arizona's next matchup will be against San Francisco. By then, San Francisco might be eliminated. That might be a coasting win for that. Then the big game at the end of the season is the next rivalry, Minnesota and Detroit. Now, if Minnesota wins their 2 games and Arizona wins their 2 games, Minnesota would have to beat Detroit. Detroit could play spoiler even if they were mathematically eliminated, which a team could do. They could say, well, heck, we're not in, so why should they get in? So the next 3 weeks are going to be critical in the NFC North. And to keep the peace in this house, I would love to see all 3 teams get in, but that just can't possibly happen. So we'll see where that goes. The NFC South, the Saints are already in the playoffs. They have not clinched the division yet. They're 10-3. The Buccaneers are on their tail. They're 8-5. They can come up, and if they win out and New Orleans chokes, then the Bucs could win the division at 11-5 versus 10-6. In a weird thing, the Falcons are eliminated. They were that news did break. Carolina has the same record, but they have not been mathematically eliminated yet. So I guess they have a tiebreaker somewhere in there. But Carolina is playing Green Bay, so it's just going to be a formality. I'm already predicting that Green Bay is going to stomp all over Carolina, and they're just going to put them out of their misery for that. Finally, the NFC East. Jeff and I messaged Jeff the scenarios on this one. Dallas has to win out. They have to beat San Francisco. They have to beat Philadelphia. They have to beat New York. If they win those 3 games, then the division, Washington Giants and Eagles, all lose. They go on a 3-week skid. That would put Dallas at 7-9. The best Washington would finish would be 6-10. New York would finish 5-11. Philadelphia would finish 4-11-1. That's the only way the Cowboys are getting in. They have to win out. If the Giants win, if the Washington football team wins, or even if Philadelphia wins, that's going to screw up everything in the division, and Dallas can't get in.
I made the reference to Mikey, and I stand by what I said last night in private chat, that is a lot of jagged pieces of a very shitty puzzle trying to put together.
Yeah. Can it happen? Yes.
Well, yeah, it can happen. It
can.
I'm trying so hard to put on the Santa hat and believe, but it's like, fuck, man.
I know, but it will be this Christmas miracle. I'm going to watch the games. I'm going to follow the games. I don't want to be the nail in the coffin with the Cowboys. I'm rooting for the team, but I'm also watching Minnesota. I'm also watching Detroit. I'm watching all 3. I was watching Pittsburgh. I think I'm jumping off that bandwagon finally because they've lost twice.
Yeah.
I even said that. I'm not on the Pittsburgh bandwagon anymore.
Right.
So there are the standings as we know it. With a few games left, who would you say is the MVP favorite right now? For me, it's Roger or Henry. I know running backs usually never wins, but for that, I'm going to have to go with the stats on that one. And if I can bring up my quarterback standings, which I need to do, and I have not updated my standings my stats for quarterbacks week 14. Right now, if I'm looking at the stats, and I have the number 1 quarterback as Mahomes. We had this discussion earlier in the season. What does it take to be number 1? It's a combination of everything: pass percentage, passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions. I'm fully aware that Rodgers has the most touchdowns at 36. Mahomes has a 500 passing yard lead over Aaron Rodgers as of week 13. I haven't done week 14 yet. So I'm going to go with Mahomes as the MVP right now, only based on the stats. If I really, and I know I said Russell Wilson, but he's slowly declined. over the weeks. He was number one early in the season, and then he just basically dropped off. Uh, if Pittsburgh was still winning, I would go with Roethlisberger, but I'm going to stick with Mahomes right now at this point. So there is that. All right, let's get into the graphics world and let's bring up the power rankings for week 14. Where does each team go? Where does each team fall? And again, I don't have the up or down numbers of how many spots they moved. I did not get up in. I do apologize. So let's just go right into it. The bottom 5 teams, they're all mathematically eliminated. They really didn't change much. So, of course, we start with the Jets at team 32, followed by the Jaguars at 31, followed by the Bengals at 30, the Texans at 29, and the Chargers at 28. There it is. The next 2 teams have the same record as the Chargers, but they have not been eliminated yet. One being the team that won after beating Cincinnati. They didn't move up much, but they're still in play, the Cowboys. And, not the Eagles. The Panthers are next after the Cowboys. There we go.
Sorry, read it wrong.
That's okay. So we're on team 25, the next team to be officially eliminated, and that would be the Falcons. They are out. So we have 6 officially eliminated teams. The next team, team 24, they beat New Orleans, the Eagles. Next team, their division rivals, the New York Giants. We're now in the teams that have 5 victories. Next team, they beat Carolina 32-27, the Denver Broncos. They lost to the Washington football team 23-15, San Francisco.
Stupid 49ers.
And team number 20, they lost to Green Bay, the Lions. Next 4 teams, they all have 6 victories. Team number 19, they lost to the Rams. Dylan's team, Patriots. Next team, they defeated Houston 36-7, the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears. Next team, they beat San Francisco, Washington. And the top team with 6, remember they're right on the edge now. They are on the bubble. They are trying to get in, but the loss to Tampa Bay didn't hurt them in the rankings, but it hurt them in the standings. The Vikings. Next 2 teams, they have 7 victories each.
So before you go ahead here, so there's exactly one less team as far. Okay, I'm trying to think of this. There are more teams in the NFL that are under 500 than aren't. That's pathetic. It's freaking pathetic.
Yep. 15 teams are over 500 and 17 teams are under 500.
That's freaking disgusting.
It's not by much though, but I can see that's like when you have a scale and it's just tipping to one side. I like that. All right.
It's so frustrating as a fan though. It's like, God, man, it's just so bad.
It is. All right, the next team, team number 15, the first team to be over 500, and like I said, they're in. They would be in if the playoffs started today. It'd be the Cardinals, followed by the Raiders, who lost to Indianapolis. All right, the next 3 teams, they have 8 victories each. We have Miami, we have Baltimore, and we have Tampa Bay. Let me quickly touch on Baltimore. I think I may have said this during when I reported on their win. One of the reporters had the either the courage or the balls to ask Lamar Jackson if he literally did need to go use the restroom when he ran to the locker room. And as much as I guess the fans needed to know about that, no, they didn't need to know about that. I mean, it was brought up, but I think it was a question that did not need to be asked like that. I mean, everybody goes to the bathroom at some point in their life, but to straight out ask a
That
quarterback,
falls in the category of we don't need to know that shit. Like seriously, that's ridiculous.
yeah. So that one reporter got a little bit too personal there.
A little bit.
Team number 11, the last team to be 8-5. They beat Minnesota 26-14. The Buccaneers. We're in the top 10. These next few teams have 9 victories each. The Rams at 9-4, followed by the Browns, followed by the Colts, the Titans, and the Seahawks. We're in the top 5. The next team is 10-3, and they handed Pittsburgh their second loss, the Bills. 4 teams are left. This team is going into the playoffs. There's the logo up there. The Saints.
Okay.
There we go. We got to let them. Team number 3, the 2020 NFC champions. Oh, that looks pretty interesting.
Took forever to find that and crop that damn thing.
Team number 2, they're going to the playoffs, the Steeler Nation. And team number 1, the current 2020 AFC Western champion, Kansas City Chiefs. There you go.
Team left with 1 loss. So there you go.
Yes, they have the best record so far. So maybe they're the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. You never know. Could be. Also, let me get this breaking news out to our universe, if that's what you want to call it. I'm considering doing this. Of course, there is a fun little game that a lot of people play during the Super Bowl called Football Squares. I'm considering us playing that. You know the game quite well. There's 100 squares. You put like $1 or $5 into the pot. You buy your square, and based on what the score of the each quarter in the Super Bowl comes up, you go onto the grid, and if your square wins, you win. It's still a possibility. I haven't confirmed this yet. I'm still thinking about it. It's just a friendly little thing. It's not to be taken seriously, and it's probably not going to cost a lot of money either. Some games go as high as like $100 per square. I'm not going to go that high. I know we're in a pandemic. I know it's economically, so I might go maybe no more than 10 to make $1,000 pot. I may go as little as $1. Doing $1 might not even be worth it because, PayPaling $1 wouldn't mean much. So I might just do $5 a square and maybe a max bet of 10 squares per person or 5. Again, it's in the works, but I'm not officially announcing that yet. It's a possibility. It's a fun little way just to for the Super Bowl to end the season. We will see.
I request $5 a square, and I'll tell you why during my plugs.
Yeah, I mean $5 is easy. It would be a $500 pot. It would be broken up quarter by quarter, and we could even break that down to the adjacent squares. It's a fun little party game. I'm assuming we have 100 people in our universe, or 20 times 5 is 100, so 20 people get together. And of course, I don't want checks. It would all be done PayPal, and I would lock the money away, and then I would send it out. But again, I still need to work on all the particulars for that. Maybe send some comments if you think it's a good idea, and we'll work on that. I'll probably make that decision maybe around either wild card weekend or division championship weekend. We'll see.
Very good, sir.
All right, so let's get into the predictions for Week 15. Sadly, Big Baller G couldn't make it this week, so no challenge this week, and that's okay. We'll push on forward to Week 16, and we'll see what happens. As far as my record, I went 8-8 for week 14. That puts my official total at 106 wins, 101 losses, 5 draws. We take those 5 draws, put them into the win column. That means I'm up plus 10. So if I was betting money, I would be up 10 times whatever my bet is. I would say $100. So I'm up $1,000. If I was making bets in Vegas or wherever on all the sites, people like to ask, where do you get your information on the points? I use a mix. Sometimes the NFL puts points up. CBS Sports does a lot. DraftKings does a lot. I think there's a site called Moneyline, but it's whatever site pops up, and I can look it over. So let's go over the predictions and what's going to happen in Week 15. There are a couple of Saturday games this weekend. I guess there was scheduling issues with the league. So the Chargers take on the Raiders, and the spread on that one is 3 points. It's -3 for the Raiders, so I'm going to obviously take the Raiders on this one. The Chargers are eliminated, so there's no need in saying that the Chargers will beat Vegas.
I'm actually rooting for the Raiders. I'm scared.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. I can't stand the Chargers.
Wow.
I can't. I hate that they've been forced upon us like the goddamn Clippers were. It drives me crazy.
Why is your camera off?
I need to put my head back and relax. I don't want to look like a lazy schlub on the air. I have a headache, so I'm just trying to not be unprofessional appearing. But yeah, I have a severe distaste for the San Diego imports. They bug. They do.
Okay.
A couple of questions in the chat room before we move on here.
Go ahead.
We're talking about the standings and the terrible records, and yeah, they make a lot of money for as bad as their records are. I'm just throwing that out there. You know, and again,
that's been a topic many times. We're like, we are almost ashamed at some of the contracts that the players get, and
it's
they
like
make lots of money.
It's like the thing is, Mike Trout earned a whole shit ton of money, and he's going to continue to do so. But it's not his fault the Angels suck, right?
No, not at all.
These teams that are 0-12, 4-8, 2-10, even 6-7, there's no excuse for that shit. There's just not. Professional athletes should not be aspiring to try to get over 500 by the end of their season. That's a horrible goal to set for yourself. And Elon says, who would be best fit if they made a trade for Wentz?
I really don't know.
Trained monkey and the organ grinder with him. I mean, honestly, Carson's just. I know he's got stuff locked up that he hasn't, tapped into because he's so much better than he's playing. And yeah, he's older, but he's better than he's playing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't really follow the trade stuff, so I'm at a loss on that one. Right. So let's see what Jalen's going to do, and if there's a way that Carson can get better by next season, I mean, he leads the league in sacks and fumbles. They combine that. I think it was like a total of 40 or maybe even 45 on the season. So there you go. So moving on, we have Buffalo taking on Denver, with Buffalo being -4. And so I'm going to go with Buffalo on that one. Green Bay takes on Carolina. They've already clinched the division. Will they defeat Carolina by 9 points? I'm going to say yes, and that'll put Carolina out of their misery, and they'll be eliminated officially on that one. So I'll give up the 9 points on that one. Houston and Indianapolis, I'm with a -7. I'm going to go with Indianapolis on that one. The Rams are taking on the Jets. The official line is 17, but with the Jets being out, I'm picking the Rams regardless. I'm not going to. If I was challenging somebody with that one, I would think that the Rams would win by 17, but I'm just going to say the Rams are going to win straight out on that one because it's the Jets. Detroit and Tennessee, that is a pick game with no spread whatsoever. I'm taking the Titans on that one over the Lions. The Buccaneers take on the Falcons. The Falcons have already been eliminated, so I'm taking Tampa Bay on that one, even though it's a -4. Baltimore is taking on Jacksonville. Again, I took Baltimore. The official spread is 13-5, but will they win? Yes. Will they win by 13-5? Probably not. So I'm not playing the line on that one. So I'm going with Baltimore. Miami and New England. Miami is a -3, so I'm taking Miami on that one. Minnesota, Chicago. I want Minnesota to win this one. They need to stay alive in the playoffs. So I'm going Minnesota over Chicago. And Cleveland is taking on the Giants. That's a good matchup, I would think. Cleveland is a -4, so I'm taking Cleveland on that one. Seattle over Washington. Seattle's a -4 on that one. Arizona and Philadelphia. Arizona's a -5-5, so I'm taking Arizona on that one. Kansas City against New Orleans. Both teams are in now that I look at it. So I would actually want Kansas City to lose this one, so I'm going with New Orleans on that one. Dallas and San Francisco, no doubt about that one. I'm taking Dallas. The points going to be 1 point, so it's essentially a pick. And the Steelers are taking on the Bengals. The official line is -12, but I'm not playing the line on that one because Cincinnati's already eliminated. So I'm taking Pittsburgh on that one. If I had my pencil in my hand, I would mark off all that stuff. I can go in and do that on my own. All right, let's get through some plugs, and then we're going to finish off with our Stat Boy shout out. Jeff, you want to take over on this one?
Sure. All right. So first thing I want to announce, this happened on Impact shortly before they went off the air tonight. There will be a 6-man AEW versus, not AEW versus Impact, but AEW is involved in the January 16th Hard to Kill pay-per-view. It'll be Kenny Omega and the former club, the Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows, against Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. That'll be a hell of a match. I'm looking forward to that for sure. All right, so very simply, we'll just get through this really quick here because I'm not going to take too long here. You're on my YouTube, which I appreciate you guys watching each and every day of the week and sometimes on weekends. Love you guys for that. I appreciate that. The Anchor, I'm working on revamping the thing because I don't have a sponsor right now, but I will be getting yesterday's Talk Wrestling and the 2 shows from today up. So be on the lookout for that on the audio side. If you don't like looking at my mug, can't blame me there. Find me on Facebook at Jeff Meacham Network. And of course, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Jeff Meacham. You can find our Teespring store, which carries all these shirts and other things from the Greg Cherry brand over at his Teespring store, which is Greg Cherry brand, but ours is teespring.com/store/Jeff Meacham Network, where you can, of course, find the official shirt of the Stat Boy Sports Bar that Mikey finally is sporting. God bless him. We love it, and it's awesome, and I'm glad you have it. That's very cool. And you can find the entire run of the Constantine Studios Brotherhood at that site as well. The Dads on Wrestling shirt, which I actually had on earlier today. We taped the episode of Dads. JJ's Renegade shirt and the #StatBoy approved shirt are there as well. Our buddy Big Baller G, didn't get to see him today, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and give him a plug because we love him. He's at NoDQ_Big Baller G on Twitter, as well as our friend, the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. I think he's in here. He's not. I'm just kidding. Okay, there he is. There he is. NoDQ.com/Colin, and of course, YouTube.com/The Cleaver Colin Andrew. We appreciate his support. My buddy, the cosplayer, the lovely Alexander the Red, recently updated her Patreon.com, Alexander the Red, with a post celebrating her familial heritage. With a St. Lucia's Day theme post. So check that out over at her Patreon. My buddy Laura is always updating her OnlyFans, so check her out. And 18 and older kids, behave yourselves. OnlyFans.com/LauraSensFan. And our dear friend Lisa, our friend to the north. Where did her thing go? There it is. Angel Lisa Marie 2 on Twitter. Now, as far as something new that I'm going to plug for the first time, if you haven't been paying attention to the last couple of days on my social media or yesterday's Talk Wrestling or today's NoDQ TLC predictions, Santa Claus is offering himself the opportunity for you at home to contact him via social media for Christmas video chats with your family, be it your kiddo, your grandkids, your nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever the case may be, because even Santa knows you can't go see him at the mall or at Disneyland or whatever, so he's bringing himself to you. It's $5 for 10 minutes. If you want more, you pay more. That's how it works, increments go up. It is a thing. So it's paypal.me/Jeff Meacham. That's to pay Santa, and you can find the big guy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Santa Claus JDM. That's where you can find jolly old St. Nicholas. And of course, lest we forget, the man of the hour, the man himself, Statboy himself on Twitter. You can find him each and every day tweeting whatever he please at LBStatKid1977.
What about Dory?
Fuck.
You forgot Dory's Instagram, didn't you?
I didn't forget. I just don't think I uploaded it yet. Hang on. Poo-poo stinky. I don't want that. That's why my thing's on stall, because I have a panic voice.
Well, I'll try and stall a little bit more while you bring that up.
Sorry.
There is a couple. There is a couple things also. Next week's show, of course, again, as I talked about earlier, will be the start of the official basketball season. And also, I still haven't decided how I'm going to do predictions for that. Now, I do have the week 1 NBA schedule. I have them all set up by home team.
Right.
So it's come out to 40 matchups over the course of the week. So I think now I still haven't. I'm debating if I want to do point spreads for my predictions, or if I want to base it on the number of games that each home team is playing. Example would be in week 1, Atlanta has 2 home games against Chicago and Memphis. So I could either predict how that little you could compare it to like homestands in baseball. Homestands are usually 3 or 4 games. Very rarely do you get a homestand of 2 games. So I could say that Atlanta sweeps and they go 2-0, or I could say Atlanta splits and goes 1-1, or I could say Atlanta chokes and doesn't win either one.
There you go.
My guess, I'm like I say, I'm still waiting to see if the NBA odds makers, how soon they put out points. If it comes down to crunch time and I don't have a point spread for all the games in week 1, more than likely my predictions are going to be that. I'm going to go by the home team. I'm going to say Atlanta's going to do this, Boston's going to do this, Brooklyn's going to do this.
Right.
And always until I get through all 40 games. If I have a challenger for it, then we can do the same thing. He could easily say, I could say that Atlanta's going to sweep. Whatever opponent could say, that's not going to happen. I think Atlanta's going to choke, and we'll see where the game goes. Again, haven't made that decision yet. I've got a few more days until that comes up, and then that's all going to be said next week. So next week's show is going to be finalizing the rankings from the preseason, going into the predictions, and then going into the results of week 15. So next week's show is going to be, I might stretch it to 2 hours. I don't know. If I do an hour on basketball and an hour on football, maybe. We'll see. Just stick with it, and we will handle that. Do we have the graphic up yet?
So you can find Mikey's roommate Dory, our resident Minnesota Vikings fan, at Dory Lou on Instagram. You can also, I keep forgetting to upload her graphic to my freaking channel in general. So the Henderson Hottie herself, there she is. Follow her on Instagram at Miss_Vixen420 and chat her up through the DMs. You will thank me later, I promise. So
there you go. All right. So again, remember next week, week 1 preview of NBA week 15 review and results of NFL, along with all the other stuff. Any other sporting news that takes place, we'll be talking about that next week. All
Probably,
right.
probably briefly touch on TLC as well because that'll be a thing.
I
So
will be watching TLC, and I'm a little. I want to know: are you okay? Why you're not doing a watch along? Is it a
I
personal thing?
decided, yes and no. I decided to scale back on my live activity because I'm wearing myself out, and that's the Sunday things are a huge part of that. So
Okay, so I'll probably be watching the morning games on Sunday, the afternoon games, and then I'll probably switch over to the network and watch TLC because I'm actually looking forward to a match. I'm actually looking forward to Drew versus AJ for the title in a TLC match. I really want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing AJ win the title, and Dory is an AJ fan. She loves AJ very much. I'm also looking forward to Randy Orton and the Fiend. That's going to be that should be a TLC match in itself because let's face it, Orton versus the Fiend on paper, one-on-one, straight up. The Fiend is just going to annihilate Randy. Randy has to use something to hurt the Fiend. And if it was Randy versus Bray, well, and the build-up, if you saw Raw yesterday, was a very good build-up.
God, that finish was the 2 hours and 55 minutes of Raw sucked, but Jesus Christ, that finish was awesome.
I'm actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually enjoy seeing Bray Wyatt Funhouse version in the Thunder. I like it.
That was cool. It's cool. I liked it. Yeah, it was neat.
I don't like it when he's hiding behind the Funhouse. I hate that.
Right.
Well,
it's part of the mystique of the Fiend and Bray is they are separate beings and they don't appear in the thing. So, Michael, the NHL season looks like mid-January is what Commissioner Midget has said recently. I don't know that that's for sure at this point, but
don't worry, Michael. I'm sorry.
The last dates I heard were January 15th or 15th is what I've heard recently.
Yeah, I'm monitoring the NHL. I'm just waiting for a word.
NHL on Stat Boy Sports Bar for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and we're definitely going to rank the teams like always, and I'm going to rank the players probably by goals.
I'll probably be more involved with that portion of the show than anything else, and I'm not even trying to be whatever. But I'll be deep in those conversations for sure. So.
Oh, absolutely.
And Harley Baby's rooting for the thing, and God bless her for it. So there you go.
So she doesn't watch wrestling very much. Harley Baby does. All right, let's get into the Stat Boy shout out for the week, and then we're going to close up the bar. Be sure and take all your tabs at that. Former Pittsburgh Steeler D'Angelo Williams recently participated in CBS's reality show, one of my favorite shows, The Amazing Race, which actually I think the season finale is tomorrow. Now he got eliminated in the penultimate leg of the race, and as he was doing his exit interview with his partner Gary, I don't know his last name, but he was also a football player as well. He basically said that he was done. He does not want to participate if there's ever an Amazing Race All-Star Edition. And it was kind of rubbed the wrong way. I think CBS didn't like that, and he's been defending himself on Twitter a lot. In fact, his Twitter account, I believe. Let me quickly find that. I should have that up there. I do follow him on Twitter, and no, I'm not joking. I just forgot that you just watch WWE a lot.
So since you're 14, you've been watching what 4 years? Is that 5 years? Because you're awfully young there, Harley Baby. So.
No, she's not. She's not young.
Trying to be. Never mind.
I know. Anyway, let me bring up D'Angelo's Twitter account here. This is, come on, bring it up. Oh, well that's an interesting shout out to do. It's Slot Lady's birthday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, his Twitter account is @D'AngeloRB.
Okay.
because he was a running back for the Steelers. So he was not happy with the race, and there is a clip on YouTube of him, kind of like an extended interview, saying that he actually wanted to quit the race leg one, but luckily his partner Gary talked him out of it. So I reached out to D'Angelo Williams. I sent him an email. He has a charity, the D'Angelo Williams Foundation,
Right.
and I even sent him a personal email on his from his website. And D'Angelo, I'm saying this to you directly. You have an open invite to this show. I would love for you to come onto the show. We can talk about the race. We can talk about the Steelers. You can plug your charity. But I would love to have you on here. We could just talk for like 30 minutes, maybe do a Q&A with the fans if you wish. But I think, and also let me say, he got eliminated. It was kind of shady. I believe the leg took place in the Philippines. I don't really remember, and it was one of those puzzles where you had to remember certain things in all legs of the race. There were four teams total, and they had an alliance going into it, and they agreed as long as we get this far as a group. It was a 5-person alliance, a 5-team alliance. They're like, as soon as we get to this section of the race, all bets are off, and we play it out. Well, the task took longer than normal, and D'Angelo's team pretty much got cheated out because the other 3 teams, they helped each other and they didn't help out D'Angelo. That was kind of shady, I think. And I would love for D'Angelo to come out and, set the record straight, actually talk about it, not necessarily tweet about it, because his Twitter account, people are saying, it should have been this way, it should have been that way. So like I say, D'Angelo Williams, you have an open invitation. Please contact me through Twitter, or please respond to my emails. Come on the show. We won't judge, won't say anything bad about you or anything like that. We'll just let you clear the air out in a live forum. And like I say, we'll talk about the Steelers. We'll talk about the race. We'll talk about your charity. Just come on in and we'll see what happens. But flat out, you got cheated in the race by those 3 teams, because that was a shady way to go. I was actually rooting for you the whole season because it would have been great to have NFL players on the show during the race.
Yep.
The only other time that happened to where we knew a team was Allie and AJ when they were on the. Was it Allie and AJ? Yeah, we would go up to them. Allie and Ashley, excuse me.
Allie and AJ is the Disney song duo.
Right. We would go up to them every week when we went to the Kings game, and we're like, oh, it was a good race, it was a good seat spot, and then they got eliminated, and I'm like, oh, we were rooting for you and everything and whatnot. So
crazy, man. They're both married now. It's awesome. That's
really? Is that what
Ashley,
they're doing?
I think Ashley just got married. I think RC was there. I want to say RC went to her wedding. I forget who it was, but yeah, they're both hitched now. That's awesome. I love it.
Great, wonderful. So
our
again,
girls are growing up.
They're all growing up. So we'll figure a way to send this clip out to him so he can actually see a face to a name and know that we're legit. I mean, I bet a lot of the NFL fans would love to hear what a former player is saying about a.
I'd be fine with anybody coming in at this point, because I'm trying to branch out as it is, so I'm fine with that. So, yeah.
So we'll send the clip out. All right. So this episode is done. Remember, again, next week, first week of the NBA preview with the final rankings from the preseason, week 15. Any other news stories? Thank you all for watching. And also next week is the Christmas week. It'll be our Christmas episode. So maybe I can.
It's coming.
Christmas is coming. What do you guys want for Christmas? I would love. Who knows what I want for Christmas? It doesn't really matter. Thank you
All I
all
want for Christmas is I can't say it on the air. Anyway,
exactly. Buy a shirt. Check out the sport. I might even maybe have a design a new shirt. I beat Stat Boy in the sports bar. Who knows?
there you go. That's right.
All right, guys. See you all next week. Thank you all. Be safe. The pandemic is still going on. We do have a vaccine out there. Don't worry. It's being put out. Keep doing what you're doing to stay safe. Please do that, especially for Christmas. And I'll see you all next week. I love you all. Thank you. Stat Boy out.